The Shetland Organization of Knitters are not happy with Game of Wool. If you don't know, sock, I see what you did there. The organization exists to promote Fair Isle as a heritage craft. And it's important to understand that a lot of times people use Fair Isle as a catch-all phrase to describe stranded colorwork. But in fact, Fair Isle is a very specific tradition that comes from the Shetland Islands. It does not describe all stranded colorwork. And what was on the show, and this was actually some of my critique, was that what was on the show was not strictly Fair Isle knitting. There were elements of Fair Isle knitting that was used, but it wasn't really, most of the designs were not Fair Isle. There are quite a few people who think that the complaints around how Fair Isle is presented on the show is gatekeepy, but you have to remember, again, Fair Isle is a specific cultural tradition from the Shetland Islands. And I think that, yeah, Shetland knitters should be able to gatekeep their own tradition. Because all they're saying is, they're not even saying, don't knit Fair Isle. They're just saying, if you're going to talk about Fair Isle, talk about Fair Isle. The other issue, which I think is a big one, was how steeking was presented on the show, which I have major issues with, and I also want to talk about more in a longer video I'm going to make. But the way the show presents one of the contestants using steeking, which is a traditional technique used in Fair Isle knitting to open up armholes and necklines, they presented it as if that caused the contestant to get eliminated because he made a mistake using the technique at all. Well, the contestant has since come out and said, no, it wasn't the steeking that was my problem. The problem was I made a mistake and I had to frog back 20 rows. I'm summarizing here. And this leads to one of my issues with the first episode from a story producer standpoint, which was they made it seem like no one had any problem with the knitting except the time limit. And to me, that makes no sense. Like, nobody dropped a stitch. Nobody had to frog or tink back. Nobody would be stressed out, especially in light of the time limit with those sorts of errors. It's just not great storytelling, and it actually sort of diminishes the stakes of what is going on. But again, I need to talk more about this in a longer video. So I gotta find time to shoot it.